Well, I can't thank you enough for all your support over the Black Friday holiday sale, all the deals that we had at the Health Rangers store. We have exceeded last year's sales by over 50%. I don't have the final numbers yet. It might even be 75%. It was extraordinary, and your support allows us to continue our mission. And so in this podcast, I'm going to share with you some of our plans for the coming year, what we're doing with those resources, and how we're using that to help you be informed and enhance the quality of your life and enhance your health and liberty at the same time. So, as you know, one of the things we've announced recently was the glyphosate testing certification of our in-house products. And I've said in online videos that instrument cost about $500,000. And so it was a big investment for us to spend that kind of money on an instrument. But it's important for all of us to know that our food is glyphosate free. And it turns out that same instrument, which is a mass spec triple quad instrument, can also test for pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, even plasticizer chemicals such as BPA. In fact, that same instrument is used by clinical labs to test for traces of recreational drugs in blood serum. We can even use it to test for glyphosate in urine. And we already have a volunteer, by the way, who's going to be giving us breast milk. A volunteer who is mostly organic in terms of her food consumption. And we're going to find out how much glyphosate is in her breast milk. That should be a very interesting little experiment. We're doing other experiments with this same instrument. I'll share some of those with you here coming soon. We're going to be microwaving glyphosate. For example, we'll take oatmeal that has a lot of glyphosate in it, and we'll microwave the oatmeal, and then we'll test it afterwards and compare that to the pre-microwaving concentration. And we will attempt to determine whether microwaving your food destroys glyphosate. And by the way, as a scientist, I am very confident the answer is no. I think that molecule is so difficult to rip apart. I think you would have to have extremely high heat to destroy glyphosate. And surely Monsanto, i.e. Bayer, they already know the answer to this question. But it's probably, my guess is it's probably something like you have to get that molecule to 400 to 500 degrees Celsius before it will really start to tear itself apart. So my guess is that microwaving glyphosate will not remove glyphosate, but I want to know. And I think millions of other people want to know. You probably want to know too. Because if it did, and given that oats are highly saturated with glyphosate, wouldn't that be useful knowledge to know that you could actually zap the glyphosate in a microwave? So we're going to try that, and we'll report the results to you. And, hey, that's good practical information that you can use. Then another thing we're going to be doing is, how all these water filters claim to remove 99% of pesticides and herbicides? Well, that claim, I doubt, will hold up when it comes to glyphosate. So we're going to be testing glyphosate removal from the water of water filter products. And because we purchased so many water filters years ago to run heavy metals tests, we have all the popular water filters. We still have them. We kept them. They're in the lab. They've all had lead run through them, so it's not like we want to use them as actual, human consumption water filters. But the lead doesn't harm their ability to try to remove glyphosate, you see. So we're going to mix up a glyphosate contaminated water, big amount of water, and we're going to run that through all the water filters, and we're going to see how well they remove glyphosate. Now, my guess on this, as a scientist who actually is quite familiar with glyphosate, my guess on this is that none of them will remove any appreciable amount of glyphosate. Now, I may be wrong, and again, we're going to let the science tell us that. There might be one or two water filters out there that are using some kind of unusual resin membrane or something that somehow captures glyphosate. I'm very skeptical that's going to be the case. I think that glyphosate is going to go right through every water filter, every one of them. The Catadine filters, the big Berkey filters, every brand that you can think of. I think that glyphosate goes through all that stuff. And the reason I think this is because we use chromatography columns in the lab to get retention on molecules, such as pesticides. And glyphosate goes right through all those columns. And you have to use a very unusual type of column with very unusual chemistry in order to retain glyphosate and get chromatography. It's unusual among all pesticides and herbicides. So it may be the case where most water filters do remove 99% of pesticides, except for the glyphosate herbicide. And that's kind of actually what I expect to see, but we're going to try that and share those results with you. Now, wouldn't it also be interesting? I mean, there's so many different experiments that we can do with this instrument. We can look at plasticizer chemicals and how much plastic, or let's say BPA, gets transferred into your food when you microwave your food in plastic. Now, I know most of you listening to this don't microwave your food at all. I haven't owned a microwave in over, 15 years or something like that. I never microwave food. But a lot of people do, and some foods are actually sold in microwavable bags or pouches with instructions to say, hey, microwave this food in this plastic. Now, wouldn't it be interesting to know how much BPA goes into the food? I'm curious about that. And I don't think that, see, all these things I'm talking about here, nobody's done this science. And so your support for our online store, healthrangerstore.com, is really like funding all this amazing research that no university will fund because they're all bought off by Bayer, and no government will fund because they're all corrupted by Bayer and the drug companies, the pesticide manufacturers, you name it. And no nonprofit will ever fund because they're all corrupted, of course. Well, not every last one of them, but the big ones are. And, the bottom line is the only way this science is ever going to get done is through independent laboratories. And how many independent laboratories have you ever even heard of? Not that many. How many independent labs have you ever heard of that are willing to test glyphosate? Oh, probably only my lab in the world. I mean, to conduct this kind of research, to show the saturation of glyphosate in foods, or to show the persistence of glyphosate in foods. I mean, seriously, is anybody else doing this? No, nobody's doing it. And so your support for our mission is very, very important. And all this time, by the way, of course, I'm going to continue to fight for your individual liberty, which means your food freedom, your medical freedom, health freedom, freedom for natural medicine, alternative medicine, Chinese medicine, chiropractic medicine, every modality that is healing. I'm going to continue to expose the fraud and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry. I'm going to continue to expose those government bureaucrats who are obvious prostitutes for big pharma, like what's his name, Pan in California. And I'm going to continue to fight for your human rights, your human dignity, your freedom, your liberty, as we go through nutrition and foods and everything else. So, and at the same time, we're funding, of course, Brighteon.com, which is the independent video website, the alternative to YouTube, that allows you to speak freely for the most part. You can't violate laws and so on, but you can speak freely there. And I know that site has been heavily dominated by political content for quite some time. However, we're rolling out a new feature where the homepage will be divided by categories. And those categories will include health and food, nutrition, medicine. Then there'll be a political category. Then there'll be, comedy, fun, entertainment, what have you, these kinds of things. So you'll be able to go there and sort of choose the topics that you want. So all of this and more is supported by your support of healthrangerstore.com. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your purchasing our products, your having trust and faith in the fact that we are doing more lab testing than any other online retailer in the world, and that we are truly dedicated to clean food and clean supplements, clean personal care products. And we're only going to continue to ramp up our testing. So if you want the cleanest products in the world and you want your funds to help support the most important scientific projects in the world, continue to shop at healthrangerstore.com. And I appreciate your support. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.
Learn more at healthrangerreport.com.
Thank you for watching. If you want to support our mission, visit us at healthrangerstore.com for the world's largest selection of lab-verified superfood and nutritional products for healthy living. It's at healthrangerstore.com.